Hi guys, today's lesson is going to start off with our probability and statistics chapter. So we're going to start off talking about mean, median, mode, and range today. And today's just going to be about some basic calculations for these things. So pretty much skills that you've seen before in the past. The first thing that we're going to talk about is this chart right here. You do not need to copy any of this down, but we are talking about just kind of some information here. Mean is another word for your average. When you find your mean, you're adding all the numbers together. You're dividing by how many pieces of data you have. So add the numbers and then divide by how many you actually have. Median is like that thing going down the middle of the road. So if you're on the highway, you see like a concrete barrier in the middle. You see that grassy area in the middle. The median is the middle number. In order to find the middle number, you have to order the numbers in your data set from least to greatest, and then you just pick out the middle. So you kind of work from your way out to the inside. If you have a tie, so if there's no true middle and there's just two numbers in the middle, what you do is you have to average those two to actually get your median, in which case your median is not actually a number that shows up in your data set then. Your mode starts off MO, most often, MO, most often, mode, you find which one appears the most. It is possible for us to have no mode in our set of data, and it's also possible to have more than one mode. If we have more than one, we'll just list out those various numbers, and if we have no mode, we'll actually write out the word no mode, because we're not going to write the number 0, because 0 could also be considered a data point. To find the range, this is your difference. So you're going to take the biggest number minus the smallest number, and that's going to give you the range of your data set. We are going to be taking notes just in our notebook today. So we're going to start off with this data set. I'm going to have you write this down. So go ahead, jot down 7, 3, 7, 5, and 3. We're going to go through to all the basic calculations. So today we're figuring out the mean. We're going to do the median, which I'm just going to say MED for median. We're going to find the mode, and we'll also calculate the range. So to find the mean, what we need to do is add all these numbers up. So 7 plus 3 is 10, plus another 7 is going to give me 17, plus 5 is 22, plus 3 more is 25. So we're going to write down 25, and we're going to divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because there's 5 numbers here. So the mean of this data set is 5. To get the median, we have to put our data set in order. So I'm going to put this in order: 3, 3, 5, 7, and 7. And we're going to work our way to the middle. So beginning, end, middle. So my median value here is going to be also a 5. For my mode, I'm looking for the ones that occur the most often. In order, it actually made this kind of easy. So I see 2 3s and 2 7s. Those are the most often ones. So my modes are 3 and 7. And remember, we said we can have 2. To get the range, I need to do the biggest number, which is 7, minus the smallest number, which is 3. And that's going to give me 4. Yes, you should show that subtraction problem. Yes, you should show that division problem here. Okay? That's your first example. Go ahead, write down this data set. We have 3, 9, 5, 16, and 7. Again, we're going to find the mean, the median, the mode, and the range. So to find the mean, we first have to add up all these numbers. Well, if you got 40, you would be correct here. So there's 40 here, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers in our data set. So 40 divided by 5, our mean here is going to be 8. When I put the numbers in order, I see 3, 5, 7, 9, and then 16. So going from out, 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 middle, my median is 7. The mode in this set, I see a 3, a 5, a 7, a 9, a 16. None of those numbers repeat themselves. So because they're all only showing up one time, we actually write that there is no mode. What's our subtraction problem for range? 16 minus 3, the biggest minus the smallest, and our range here is 13. I'm going to ask you to go ahead and write down this data set: 95, 62, 89, 75, 62, and 84. Let's go ahead and put these in order. So I'm starting off with 62, another 62, 75, 84, 89, and 95. So I'm going to calculate my mean, my median, my mode, and my range. So when I calculate the mean, I'm adding these numbers up. I got 467. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers. And when I divide by 6, I get 77.8. To get the median here, beginning, end, notice that I'm left with these two in the center. So to get my median, I do 75 plus 84. I'm adding them together. It's going to give me 159. And then I need to divide by 2 because I'm taking the average of these two. I get 79.5. My mode, looking at my set of data, there's only one number here that repeats itself, and that is 62. And for my range, I'm going to do the biggest number minus the smallest number, and that'll give me a range of 33. Our next example could be helpful for you, especially with school and trying to figure out what your averages need to be for your classes. So you took 4 quizzes in the last trimester. Your overall average was an 85. So 4 quizzes, overall average was an 85. Your averages that you can remember are 89, 75, and 90. What was the 4th grade? So in order to find an average or a mean, you would take your scores, 89 plus 75 plus 90 plus our 4th score, which we don't know, so we'll call it X. You would add all those up, and then you would divide by 4. That would give you your average, which we know your average was an 85. This type of equation you actually saw before. We're going to put the top in parentheses, which means we're not going to touch it quite yet. And we're going to go ahead and multiply by 4 to cancel out this divide by 4 scenario. So multiply by 4. Then I have 89 plus 75 plus 90 plus X equals 85 times 4 will give me 340. To get X by itself, I'm going to combine all these together. That gives me 254 plus X equals 340. Subtract 254 from both sides, and X is going to equal 86. So your 4th grade from the last trimester would have been an 86. If you remember, we talked earlier a couple weeks ago, we talked about your trimester scores, and I told you that we would take trimester 1 plus trimester 2 plus trimester 3, and we would take the average of those, and in order to pass for the year, you had to have a 60, which would be your passing score. So if you remember, I had you add up your 2 trimester scores so far and figure out what you would need to get. The reason that we did this was just like what we just saw. So we'd times by 3 on both sides, and that would tell me that your trimester 1 plus your trimester 2 plus your trimester 3 would have to add up to be 180 points if you wanted your final overall grade to be a 60. Thinking back, some of you wanted a much better goal. So let's say you wanted to end the year with a 90 as your final grade. We would average up your trimester scores and divide by 3. So we're going to times by 3 on both sides. So my trimester scores, if I wanted to have an A average in the end, would now have to add up to 270 points. So you'd be able to figure this out based on whatever you wanted your final grade to actually be. If you wanted your final grade to be a 95 or maybe even a 97, or maybe you were just going for an 85, that would be the number that you would put over here, multiply by 3 since we have the 3 trimesters, and that would tell you how many points you would need. So hopefully that's a connection that you can make in with what we've already seen in class and we kind of talked about the other week. That is your lesson for today on mean, median, mode, and range. Hopefully you'll agree they were pretty simple calculations there, things that you've seen before. And that takes us to the end of today.